I always try to go as deep into my subconscious. Why is it that want to play this guy? Why is it that I'm attracted to it? Who is he and how is he somehow deeply rooted in my own psyche? Godfather Coda, the death of Michael Corleone. I first heard that they were making another installment of The Godfather like in the 80s or late 70s, 1980, I forget now. I was doing a movie for Paramount, my second or third movie. And Mr. Mancuso, who's the head of the studio at the time, Frank Mancuso, came to have lunch with myself and his son, Frank Mancuso Jr., who's producing the film. And he said, "What are you doing in September? I'd like you to be in The Godfather and play this character, Vincent." So I said, "Let me check my schedule, I'll get right back to you."
What does all this have to do with me?
Well, he's going on behind your back saying Michael Corleone all the time. That's it. That's one thing it has to do with you, right? Say it to his face one time. Say it to his face one time.
Mr. Corleone, all bastards are liars. Shakespeare wrote poems about
What am I gonna do with this guy? What am I gonna do with this guy?
Dean Tavoularis, who was a great production designer, always said that Francis's scripts are like a newspaper. They come out every day, you know. Sometimes there'd be some new ideas that he'd write and present them on the day to do. But basically the character was, you know, established in the first screenplay that he kept adjusting, but the character was there.
Bastardo.
I remember having lunch when we started rehearsals, and he'd have these big dinners after the rehearsal that he would cook, and the whole cast would be there. And Mario Puzo was there, and I sat one of the nights with Mario. I said, "Mario, what can you tell me about Vincent?" If I remember correctly, he said, "He has the strength of Sonny, the intelligence of Vito, the coldness of Michael, and the warmth of Fredo." And I said, "Thanks very much. I'll work on that, you know." You know, obviously he's carrying all this sort of DNA in him. Vito Corleone came, you know, to Ellis Island and Godfather too. Having fled his country where his father was killed, they stamp him, Vito Corleone. For me, there was a lot of personal parallels inherent in the mythology of the Corleones and the generation of my father. My father had to flee a country because of the repression and the lack of freedoms that were being established. So those things are part of the subconscious of what you draw on in any character. You try to open those doors.
Your father, my brother, we were opposites. We would fight and argue. But I never doubted his love. He would do anything for me. But his temper. Too much. Clouded his reason. I don't want you to make that mistake.
Al has been such an inspiration to me and to all actors of all generations, all of his life since he first stepped on the boards, you know. And one of the things that I noticed that almost every day of the week we'd have dinner together with Diane and my wife and I and with the kids. "You gonna bring the kids? You gotta bring the kids." "Yeah, if you want to bring the kids." "I'm bringing my dog. You bring the kids." And then we'd have dinner like that all the time, you know. And there was a love and a familiar thing that happened between us. We didn't have to play. It was just already, it was there, you know. And that for Al, as an artist, was kind of part of the preparation. It's not like we had to run lines or rehearse a scene. It was about building the relationship, the real relationship, which leads to a dramatic moment in which he says, you know, "I am your son, command me as you will."
That's the price you pay. The life you choose.
Anybody who's ever known him or worked with him can only say that what an extraordinary privilege.
Ocean's 11.
Okay, tell me about Benedict.
That guy's a machine.
Good afternoon, Mr. Benedict.
He arrives at the Bellagio every day at 2 p.m. Same car, same driver.
All right, Tommy, how's the baby? Very well, thank you.
Remembers every valet's name on the way in. Not bad for a guy worth $750 million.
Jeffrey Curlin, the costume designer, said he wanted Terry's costumes to have an Eastern flair to give you a sort of Zen cool. How did that inform the character?
Kirkland designed that. He had bought all these vintage kimono fabrics, and we made a series of vests with these kimono fabrics, which have a sheen and texture. We talked about it. We came to sort of like the idea to do kind of like a Nehru jacket, kind of Indian, collar. So it did look like he was a guy that was into sort of Eastern philosophy, the art of war, and all that kind of stuff. He was precise. It's like, and okay, let's go. He's moving and moving like a shark. He doesn't stop.
Like I said, a machine.
You build the characters with the people you work with, And Soderbergh, we met, we were chatting, and I said, I feel he's like a shark moving through the thing, If someone sees him coming, he knows that you have information for me. So I'm going to keep going. You got to fall into place and give me the information because, you only have like 18 seconds with me from when I go from there in the casino to there. All you need is a little gem, and then you're set in the character. And again, you got the shoes, man. You got to have the right shoes. If you look down and you don't have the right shoes, you're not in character.
You recently were released from prison, is that correct?
That's right.
How does it feel to be out?
About the same.
Danny was just about
I just stopped by to say hi to Tess for old time's sake.
Stay and have a drink.
You can't.
I wasn't in the Rat Pack group. I was the outsider, But of course, in between takes and, in the process of doing the movie, we're all enjoying the making of, as they say, The more time you spend with the actors that are in your family in the piece, the more you're going to feel like a family. All those actors had a mutual respect and admiration and friendship. Either it was already established before the movie or quickly established during the movie. We talk about the most important work is done off camera, not on camera, so that the generosity of spirit is always the best towards your fellow actor.
The Untouchables.
What's that you said?
I said that you're a lying member of a no-good race.
It's much better than you stinking Irish pig.
Oh, I like him.
Of course. He was the hero of growing up in the 60s. He was the cat, and there were others, of course, Steve McQueen and James Coburn, people that were sort of in the action hero, that kind of genre. But Sean was James Bond, he was ready a couple takes, and if you wanted to do a third take, it was like, do you have any film in that camera? Like, let's go. Everybody do their job, let's get through this. We know what we need to do, kind of, work ethic, which I really appreciated. And he was extremely funny and dry, and a great joy to be a part of that experience with him. We became friends, which was, give it up to the man upstairs, It wasn't in the script, the horseback riding thing. It was something that was sprung on me when I got to Chicago, and De Palma took me into his office and showed us a storyboard. He had done a little index cards with little stick figures that he drew, sort of like what he saw. And then he got to one of them and said, and here you guys are gonna be, those are you four guys on horseback. I said, on horseback? I didn't read that, there was no horse. No, we're gonna be on horseback, we're gonna be attacking this bridge, just crossing the Missouri River. And I said, oh, that's going to be, I thought, a great sequence, But I said, but, Brian, I said, my character's from the south side of Chicago. Never been on a horse. And he looked at me without missing a beat, and he said, no, he's an expert horseman. I said, oh, okay. I said, when are we shooting this thing, I found I think it's called Hyde Park in Chicago. There was a horse stable there for people to rent horses. So I thought, oh, great, my grandfather was an immigrant, went to work in the stables, and he would take me to work with him on the weekends or after school. I'd go, and he taught me how to ride, and that's why I'm an expert horseman. But I said, now that's fine for the backstory, but now I actually have to learn how to ride a horse. So I started going to those stables and getting on a horse as often as I could. And then when it was time to shoot, it was just a question of not falling off the horse at the speed we were going, because my horse was like Michael Jordan. I had to hold on and carry his like 30-pound Tommy gun and only hold on to the reins. You couldn't hold on to, the horn. You were freestyling like this, It was hairy.
I want to talk a little bit more about working with De Palma. You said that he had storyboarded the whole thing.
Yeah.
What was his style like on set?
He was very well prepared and had designed the movie. He was always been a master of designing those sequences, like the sequence in the train station or the baby carriage.
Come on, let's get out of here. What are you doing? Shut up! Come on, say shut up! Oh, sorry.
Obviously, it was an inspiration he got from the battleship Potemkin sequence, but he did his own thing with it. And he designed this incredible sequence. It's really an incredible sequence. It's just the whole tension of that with the Morricone score is really one of the classic sequences I think people will look at for a long time to come.
Internal affairs.
The project was developed for me, at Paramount. I did not have a part in the development of it. Once I got involved, naturally you have some opinions about certain things. And you say, what about this? Do we think that, because you're in the creative process at that point. I boxed for a while for the character. I think there's even a shot in the movie or in my house where you see me and, I wanted him to have that kind of background, maybe a kid that grew up like Golden Gloves in Los Angeles, and not that we never see us boxing. But what happens is, I think, because when you learn how to box, there's a way you throw punches, a trained punch, and you know where your leverage is. There is this one scene where I knocked Richard Gere's character, then his pec down with just one. Actors look for that all the time, little additions or contradictions to what you would expect.
Mamma mia, here we go again.
There's a story behind your casting there. Apparently Cher had requested that you play the role of Bernardo.
That's what the director said. And I said, thank you for the opportunity. He goes, Cher picked you. And I said, she had like a lineup or what's going on? And he goes, yeah, I kind of, I thanked her. I said, I heard you picked me or whatever. She went, of course, Modigliani, of course. I guess she liked that movie and kind of a deal closer, I guess.
There was something in the air that night. The stars were bright, Fernando. They were shining there for you and me, for liberty, Fernando. But we never thought that we could lose. There's no regrets. If I had to do the same again, I would, my friend Fernando.
It was a natural thing. It was very easy. The track was pre-recorded. We went into the studio there in London and we just did it. We went through it until he was happy. I said, yeah, we got it. I said, okay.
Father of the bride.
My daughter, when they saw it, they kind of said, Daddy, he's nothing like you, But he is all of me at the same time, and all of the fathers that I've experienced that somehow made sense to this guy. And there are key things in the film that are important to where you find the comedy. They fall into place with a lot of the fathers that I grew up, including myself. Traditional and conservative, like to have a good time, but they're family first. A very strong work ethic, and because they came to this country again as exiles in this case, they had to build a new life where they came as a lawyer and they were a waiter and then worked their way back to school and get a law degree or a doctor. People did that. And then that journey creates a certain pride of ownership of that, or also saying that that's what the opportunity that this country has given us is a responsibility to deliver and do right by the journey that they brought you here. There's a responsibility to contribute and to be positive member of society and take advantage of the opportunity that was taken away from you in your home country. So he's a character of that cut like that because he feels that way so strongly about certain things. Of course, he steps in puddles because he's not looking down, he's looking. There's a certain, tonality that you're working under. It's not going to be all of a sudden a drama, but there could be warmth and touching moments and all that, but there's a buoyancy that has to happen. I always kind of envisioned, I saw him, or I saw myself in a sort of character as a sort of a Keaton-esque character. That shit is happening around him and he's so overwhelmed. And sometimes he's so overwhelmed that he doesn't even notice what's happening around him. Those kind of things kind of stick in your head somehow and start spitting out a character.